Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Engage platform. Thank you for joining us here today for our first event in the HTC Vive ImmerseUK series on the future of work in VR. My name is Ash Easton. I am the ImmerseUK lead and your co-host for today. And this is actually my first time doing this. I'm not sure how many people in the audience have hosted an event in VR already. This is my first. So I'm actually kind of curious, by a show of hands, how many people here actually think that my avatar looks like me? Anybody? I think it's pretty good. I like it. I think it's good. So today we're going to be starting off by talking about VR and remote work and collaboration. And the whole kind of inspiration for this series was after seeing what's been going on around the world the last few weeks, people having to move their entire businesses online and working remotely with their teams, and seeing a big spike in interest from businesses around VR platforms and what VR has to offer more generally. So we're going to start to explore those throughout the series. And we're inviting solution providers to come and do some demos, talk about what they do, have a bit of a discussion and a debate about the benefits and limitations, and give you an opportunity to ask them some questions. So save your questions for the end. You will have a chance for that, and we will get right to it. But to kick off, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background into ImmerseUK for those of you who don't know us. We are the largest network of immersive tech professionals in the UK, and we are part of a bigger network called the Knowledge Transfer Network. Now, the KTN is basically like a hive mind of experts kind of in one organization, and we are primarily funded by Innovate UK, part of the UK government, to facilitate cross-sector innovation, to help businesses to access funding for research and development, and to help UK businesses to scale. So we at ImmerseUK are something called a SIG within the KTN. SIGs are special interest groups that are set up to work on a particular industry or area. There are many of them. These are just a few examples. We were set up in 2016 to focus on building the immersive tech sector in the UK, to make the UK a world leader in this space, to help make the industry a little less fragmented, and to basically to facilitate cross-sector innovation, and to try and help push the right conversations at a national level to really drive things forward. So we're really, really grateful to have an incredible list of founding members. HTC Vive is one of them. They're one of our OGs, and have done some incredible work with them over the last few years. And essentially, we are a connected space for UK's immersive tech sector. We help people to grow their business, to make the right connections, discover new markets. We give people a place to showcase their work, join the directory so they can show off their talent, and really to help them to help bring the community together and help to drive things forward in our country. So we're really, really happy to be running this event today with HTC. And I'm going to pass it off now to Dave Haynes from Vive, who's going to come on and speak a little bit about Vive, and also to introduce the speakers and to chair the panel. So thank you so much, guys.
Okay, hello and welcome to the Vive Amphitheatre. My name's Dave Haynes, and I'm the Director of Developer Ecosystem and ViveX for HTC here in EMEA. And I'm really thrilled to welcome you all today to our Future of Work in VR event. And today the discussion is going to revolve around remote work and collaboration. I think these are topics that have been talked about a lot recently. They're really top of mind. And why is that? Well, it's because of the COVID lockdown. So most of you in the audience are experiencing some sort of lockdown in your countries, or you're just about to come out of it. And this means that so many workers have been forced out of their usual workplaces, whether that's an office or a factory or an architect's office or big oil and gas companies. You know, these guys are all having to rethink the way they work. And this discussion today is going to be talking about how VR can play a role in this. So thank you all for coming. I think it's interesting, when we talk about work, actually for me, it wasn't until lockdown that I realized, well, events are a big part of work. So it's quite often that I'm having to go to a conference to meet with developers, or we might be doing an event where we're meeting startups or getting on a stage like this and presenting to customers and telling them more about Vive products. So obviously a big impact for me was the following. It's things like this. Back in January, a large part of our team was actually working on MWC. Most of you all know MWC. It's a very big conference, huge international audience. And for HTC and EMEA, this is one of our biggest events of the year where we unveil products, we meet customers, we do a lot of business there. And we were faced with this situation. Okay, well, this is getting cancelled. And this wasn't the only event. Shortly after South by Southwest was cancelled, we had a large developer day scheduled for GDC. That got cancelled, so we had to figure out a different way of doing those through webinar. And this is continuing. This trend isn't going to go away. So just last week, we saw that events coming up like Gamescom are being shut down, and it's not just a voluntary decision. This is actually following guidelines that governments are setting. And large companies, similar size of ourselves and also bigger, are deciding to actually cancel their event schedules or their physical event schedules right through 2021. So this is a real problem. This is, the lockdown situation is hindering the work that gets done at these events. But I think that VR really has the potential to solve this problem. And that was certainly a belief shared by our China team. So they have an event called the VEC, the Vive Ecosystem Conference, that takes place every year in China. And they were faced with the proposition that this event wasn't going to take place. So they responded quickly. They put out word to the Engage team to say, well, actually, how could we do this event in your platform, just like we're doing today? And they were ambitious. They produced, made, conceived the event in just 10 days. We had 23 speakers over 11 sessions, and we had to build multiple customized rooms and environments, just like the beautiful Vive Amphitheatre that we're sitting in today. And the results were great. I mean, first of all, there was a lot of learnings that happened. I think this is the first time that a company of our size has really fully committed to doing an event in VR. And there was a lot of learnings that needed to take place to put this on in the first place. But we also had a lot of participants. So we had over 1,000 people logging into VR. And what's great about these events is, yes, it's great to do them in VR, but you can also, through the Engage platform, be in desktop mode. So if you don't have a headset at home, you can still join the event. But we also produced a 2D stream that also be watched afterwards. So we've had over 1 million views of that event. So I think by any standards, that this was a big success, and we had a lot of learnings along the way. So I guess the question that I've been asking myself is this the new normal? I think a big part of the reason for doing this event is just to say, well, if we can't do them physically for the next year or 18 months, if it goes on longer, then we're going to need to figure out how to do this a different way. So I think it's interesting. I've been to several VR events over the years, but this has really been a catalyst for lots of organizations to think about doing it. So people like Educators in VR, they were early adopters. They've been, trailblazing on these platforms, doing meetups and holding conferences. But now, long-established conferences like Laval Virtual, this is a VR conference that has been happening for over 20 years. And the COVID situation has really been a catalyst for them to innovate and to look to other platforms to do that. And please go and check out the Laval event. It's this week. It's happening on a different platform, but you'll be able to go and see over 2 days worth of sessions, including a couple from Vive. And then also for myself, ViveX business needs to continue. A big part of our job is connecting with other investors, finding startups to invest in. So we've partnered with XR Base, and we'll be back in this Vive Amphitheatre where we'll see 8 startups pitched to over 20 investors in front of a large crowd of people. So this is going to be really interesting, and please try and check that out. So I think this is the new normal, and even once we come out of lockdown, there's a lot of reasons for to do events, such as this in VR and not do it physically. So the focus of today, we're going to be talking about remote work and collaboration, but this is just one of a series of 3 events that we're going to be doing. So next week we're going to have some more great speakers talking about spatial design. And then last but not least, on the 14th of May, we're going to have a session on training the next workforce. So this is new for us. This is the first time we've done it. Please give us your feedback. We'd love to know what you thought of it. How could we improve? What could we do different? What works well in a virtual event? What doesn't? So please spread the word about these and try and come along if you can. Okay, so just to run you through the agenda for today. We're going to start off with some product presentations. We have 4 great platforms that we're going to talk about today that each cover a slightly different type of remote collaboration. So we have Engage, the platform that we're in. We have Vive Sync, which is a meetings platform being developed in-house by our Vive Studios team. We also have Image Reality that's doing a very specific type of remote collaboration, virtualizing several things that needs to happen in large oil and gas companies like Shell. We have Dimension 10 as well, a company from Scandinavia that can join us today virtually, and they're going to be talking about their platform for collaboration about BIM data. So we've got some great content. We're going to follow that with a panel, and then last of all, we're going to go into networking. So all of the speakers are going to stick around. Some of you are new to VR, some of you are already well established but want to find out more. So we're going to be here to answer questions, and please try and network amongst yourselves. And then last but not least, we'll also have a couple of members from our enterprise team here. So hopefully I don't need to tell you too much about our lineup of Vive products, but all of the platforms we'll talk about today are fully supported by Vive and vice versa, and can be used whether it's in standalone, whether it's on the new Cosmos range or in Pro I, but also with accessories like the Vive Tracker and the wireless. So if you're a new customer to VR, if this session inspires you, please come and talk to us. We'd love to see how we could get VR into your organization. But likewise, if you're already in VR, but you're looking for new solutions to try and increase the productivity of your workforce, especially during this COVID lockdown, then please come and find us out afterwards. And yeah, thank you. I'd just like to say a big thank you to you guys for showing up. It's going to be really exciting to see how today's goes. And I also want to thank people that have helped. So this is a partnership with ImmerseUK. So I have to thank Asher there, who's really been instrumental in helping us to produce this event, and also the Engage team for doing a wonderful job and making a great platform. So thank you, and we'll speak again soon. Bye.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Sapienza. I run the internal studios teams at Vive, and today I'm really excited to talk to you about one of our new products coming out, Vive Sync. Sync, at its core, is a remote collaboration application that allows distributed teams to come together to work in the same shared space. And in fact, we all know today that, remote is the new normal. But it's actually been a trend that's been happening for quite some time. In fact, just a couple of years ago, these stats is where we pulled them from. Over 50% of American employees are involved in some sort of remote or virtual teamwork. And 48% of those remote workers have never met their virtual counterparts. So this isn't new. It's just more prominent today given the current situation we're in. And at Vive Studios, we encountered the same issues that virtually everyone else does when it comes to remote collaboration. Team synergy, trust, shared vision, all those things that make up a studio or a team, a culture. So we built a tool for ourselves. Being VR, I would say a core studio within the organization, we wanted to make a VR solution for ourselves. Now, the Two Bears studio is located in San Francisco and in Taiwan. And as you may or may not know, but virtual reality, as we're starting to develop it, there's a lot of new ideas, a lot of brainstorming, a lot of decisions that need to be made. So we had to do a lot of meetings. But we encountered a lot of people feeling not as engaged, or they felt disconnected. Some of the engineers didn't know what the designers were doing. The designers didn't get a chance to connect or couldn't read the tone in the email correctly, and people felt separated. It really felt like an us and them type of situation. We felt we could do better. So how did we start? Well, we started with most video apps like Skype or Teams, and this would be a best case scenario where everybody is visible and you could see everybody, right? Audio is working, but more than likely, people don't always have their cameras situated properly, or the lighting's not correct in the background, or the foreground's too dark, or worse yet, you're trying to see something on a screen, but it's small, and then you can't even read what's on the board, and you also feel like it's very apparent that you're not there. You're on this side, and then they're over there having that conversation. Or worse yet, everyone just turns off their video. So you lose a lot. You lose a lot of the who's engaged, the body language, right? Those are the things that make up a meeting, make up and build up trust and communication. Make sure everyone's focused and paying attention. So when looking at this, we wanted to figure out, okay, well, what works? Well, obviously, we know being next to your colleagues, seeing the body language, feeling the room, that is the best. But if you can't be there, virtual reality will do that for you. You can actually feel the room. You can see the body language. You can see with eye tracking where your colleagues are looking. And in fact, this is a picture of our stand-up. Now, of course, we're not standing up. We are there, but not here. Why? Well, think about a stand-up. They're highly effective meetings, but it actually takes everyone to get up out of their desk, move to another location, so they're focused. They're not looking at their email. They're not checking their phone. Everybody's focused on the meeting. Here, when you put on your VR headset, you are focused. So now we can actually sit in a nice environment around a table with your colleagues and have a good conversation. So here's what I'm doing today. Here's what I did yesterday. And let people know if you're blocked. But it's a much better environment than doing it through a video conference call because there's a feeling there, and you get to build up that relationship with your colleagues. Now, of course, it's not just about stand-ups. There's a number of different things you can do in a sync meeting. You can load in 3D models. You can actually share your PowerPoint or PDFs to the big screen that we have so everybody can see it. Put up team notes, annotate, do design reviews. And one of the things I love about VR, of course, is you can be anywhere. So depending on what kind of meeting you want to have, you might want to change where you're at. So this is one of the environments we have. It's more of a sci-fi room, very sleek, clean. This one is the bay. It's a great room because you get to hear the water crash up against the rocks. It's very calming. It's very nice to be there. And then this one's one of my favorites, Skyscape, where it's a very blue sky meeting, right? You're out there in the open, and all you see are the clouds rolling up above you. It's very nice. Again, VR. You can do somewhere, or you can be somewhere different. You don't have to be in a sterile environment. And of course, we have a lot more coming. So just having a meeting is one thing, but bringing you into that meeting is also very important. So we were looking at different ways how to do it. Did we want to create a character customization system within VR? You know, we could, but we decided to use a mobile app. So you take a selfie of yourself, add some attributes, your hairstyle, you know, if you want glasses or not. You can stylize yourself however you want, or you can be more traditional. And you just create your character right there on your phone. You press one button, and then that file instantly goes back and syncs to your sync profile. The next time you go into a sync meeting, your profile will be updated. It's that easy. And creating a meeting is just as easy. Just go to our website, sync.vive.com. Go there, hit the big create a meeting button, select what room you want, and done. You already have a VR meeting. So we also know that VR can be difficult sometimes. There's some friction. You purposely have to put the headset on. You might have to update your drivers and things like that, right? Although having a meeting in VR is much more beneficial, we were trying to figure out ways to reduce the friction. So one of the ways we solve this is through our QR code. So what's so nice is you can create a meeting whenever you want. All you do is you hit copy. You can go to any other email, Outlook, or however you send out your meetings. You hit paste, and it sends this information to your colleagues. When your colleagues put the headset on and they get to the main menu of Sync, they just hit scan QR code. They scan that code, and they'll be instantly taken to that meeting. So you don't have to. Of course, you can put in the room ID and password and all that, but just scanning it just makes it that much easier. And another feature we have on the right here is synchronize. Having a meeting is great to just be able to show up, but a lot of times you need your files. You need your PowerPoint or to show off your latest movie trailer. Here, you hit synchronize, and you can link to any cloud drive that you want. And the next time you get into Sync and you're in that meeting, those files will actually appear on your virtual tablet. So your virtual tablet's actually really important. Think of this as your VR laptop. So when you come in, you'll see this here. In the center is a nice preview for you. So if you hit that file folder button, you'll see all those cloud files already linked up. So then you can just share it if you want. We've got a bunch of other tools like voice to text notes. So you don't have to type your notes. You can just speak your notes, and they'll just be transcribed right there. And of course, you'll be muted, so nobody else will be able to hear your private notes. You can say follow up on action items, 1 through 12, whatever you want. Nobody will be able to hear you, which is very nice. And of course, we have tools like a 3D draw and take screenshots so you can capture that feedback. So having a meeting is great, but you got to be able to capture that feedback and then send it back out. So because we synchronize the file, all your notes and all your screenshots, when you're done, will be sent back to that file when your meeting's over. So this tablet, obviously, is important. So we allow you to move it to wherever you want so it's comfortable for you. And if you have something that you want to share on your personal laptop, you just hit the share button, and it'll share to everyone else in the room. Now, this is a picture of us having a team meeting. You can see we're all on an auditorium. And you can see below here, we're highlighting a lot of the file formats. Now, I'm not going to go through every file format that we support, but we do all the major ones, and we're going to continue to support more. We see this as a service. We're going to continue to be adding more formats and more styles and more features as we move on. Now, this tool, Sync, has already been in use for the last 1.5 to 2 years. We've been using this internally. So this has been tested. We've eaten our own dog food, and now it's at the point where we're ready to go from a closed beta to an open beta to release to allow more people to experience it. And then we want to hear your feedback too. What other features do you want? What other file types do you want? And then we'll add that to our roadmap and start to get it out there because we believe in this so much. Now, here's one of the teams. There's the Two Bears team. Everyone's waving to say hi, just to say thank you for your time and listening to us. We really hope you give Vive Sync a try. We know you're going to appreciate it. And in closing, I just want to say our goal is to make VR meetings the best place to actually come meet and get stuff done. Not only that, but it's also to build relationships with your team. Of course, you want to have a quick meeting, you can use, Skype or Teams or whatever. That's fine. We're not just like an email. Sometimes you send email, sometimes you send text. If you want to build a team, have a relationship, and actually a good brainstorm session or make decisions or actually feel more connected, then Vive Sync is the way to go. So just want to say thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.
Hello, everybody. My name is Claudia Ruiz Graham. I'm the CEO and founder of Image Reality. I'm a geologist by background, born in Colombia, and I'm currently living in the UK. We developed 3D Gaia, an enterprise platform for immersive learning and remote collaboration. Our goal is to bring the field to the office, helping to connect expertise across the world. Geologists and engineers go to the field to study rocks to help them predict what to find in the subsurface. The oil industry invests every year about $450 billion in exploration and development, and geologists and engineers play a crucial role in optimizing that spend. The continuous oil price volatility has created an industry need to contain costs, to develop capability sustainably. And in the world post-COVID-19, they need to work remotely in a very efficient way. Our platform comes with a powerful analytical toolset, enables the user to create their own content. They can create training sessions, working sessions, and collaborate remotely with others. All this supported by a robust architecture with encrypted communication end-to-end. 3D Gaia enables an improved analysis in an immersive environment. You can do things that you cannot do in real life. For example, jump off a cliff. It enables a wider outreach of training rather than taking a team of 20 individuals to the field maybe once or twice a year. You can scale that training across your entire organization. It enables safe access to hazardous areas, remote collaboration, and it delivers up to 60% cost savings. So far, we have connected teams in 11 cities and 8 countries with up to 4 cities simultaneously. We have been working with 2 major oil companies who have taken annual contracts. We are currently also on pilot discussions with some other companies. With Shell, is one of these companies that have taken annual contracts. We delivered a successful pilot at the end of last year. It was a field trip into Texas. And, according to our clients, we are at the forefront in this space, which we feel very proud of. Now, let me take you to a virtual field trip to the coast of Ireland. Bear with me a moment while I load the video. So we are going to see a field trip to Ireland. You're seeing some satellite imagery here. We're going to see this location, that cliff over here. This is the high-resolution outcrop model that shows a lot of details. The user can experience real scale. We're at the base of the cliff here, and you see some rocks here that are analogs to the subsurface. What we were looking at in this 360 image inside 3D Gaia is what we were looking at before. It's impossible to go to that particular part of the cliff in real life. The user can experience an outcrop at real scale, can interpret, can integrate different data sets such as seismic data. This is like a scan of the earth on the subsurface. Can integrate well logs and different type of images, and collaborate remotely with others, seeing changes instantly. The platform is data agnostic. It has applications to drilling and engineer, and also to other areas such as science. It's a beautiful dinosaur from a museum in Paris. Now we're going to hear some testimonials from Shell users.
Great learning tool, a great way to have a collaborative discussion.
There's tons of potential in that technology in there to augment actually what we do in the field, and also offering that up to a wider audience.
To be honest, and I'm not exaggerating, is one of the most amazing experiences that I had in terms of learning.
Finally, I would like to conclude that we are in exciting times for virtual reality. We can help industries to connect, to work remotely. We can leverage the generation of ideas and learning in a virtual environment. Thank you very much.
Okay, so ahead of the panel, I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to Dimension 10. And you're going to see Alexander on the panel in a moment. But just to give you a brief product overview, we're going to run a short video. And to give our perspective, these guys are building a really great platform for the AEC industry, which is a really important customer vertical of ours. So I'm going to run the video. You'll hear from Alex on the panel, and you'll be able to ask him questions later on during the networking.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael from Dimension 10. Today I'm going to show you how our collaborative VR platform works by walking you through a real estate project owned by one of Norway's largest real estate companies. From our pop-up menu, we can easily access multiple 3D models. This comes well in hand in general, but especially for the use of BIM models that often consist of multiple 3D models from different disciplines, as we can spawn them separately, like so, but also conjoined. Experiencing the 3D models in a scalable mode allows users to easily familiarize themselves with 3D models. The cut section tool also allows for better insight into the specific parts of the 3D models. Moving into experiencing the digital model in true to size scale, users can pre-select their spawn position in the 3D model by using this miniature avatar. Once in true to size scale, users can move around and experience the 3D models by teleporting around. That was a short introduction to how collaborative VR meetings can be conducted in Dimension 10's virtual reality platform. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.
Excellent. So that's Dimension 10. Okay, hello and welcome to this virtual panel. Today we're going to be continuing the theme of the future of work, and this panel is all about remote collaboration. So you've heard from 3 platforms that we work with at Vive who are all kind of building interesting remote collaboration tools for different industries. We're also joined here today by David Whelan of the Engage platform that we're in today. So no need for him to make a product presentation because we're actually in the product right now. So hopefully you're familiar. But I'm going to just first go along and ask you guys to introduce yourself. And David, as you haven't done a presentation, maybe just give a bit of a flavor of the company, why you set it up, and now this kind of focus on events and other things that you're doing within the Engage platform.
Yeah, thanks very much. So my name is David Whelan. I'm the CEO of Immersive VR Education. We're the people behind the Engage platform. And primarily it has been designed for distance learning very early in its development program. And really the problem we were trying to address is with distance learning, very few people finish online courses. And it's because they're watching video and they're not engaged with the content. So what we've created is a virtual university or a virtual college where people can interact very naturally and feel like they're part of a real group. And that's exactly what we're doing. But it has evolved over the years where now we're doing virtual events, we're doing lots of corporate training, and it's really grown and flourished over the past few years. And obviously we're working very closely with HTC as well to really push this forward in the Asia market.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. And so, Claudia, I'll come to you first. If you could maybe just again, briefly introduce yourself, kind of quick one-liner about the company, but just to highlight to the audience that we have today, talk about some success you've had with a customer. Like, how are your customers using the platform today?
Thank you, David. So my name is Claudia Ruiz-Graham. I'm the CEO and founder of ImmerseUK. We develop a platform for immersive learning and remote collaboration focused in the oil and gas industry. In terms of a success case, we've been working very closely with Shell, another major oil and gas company. And with Shell, we delivered their first geological field trip in VR. By the way, I forgot to mention I'm a geologist by background myself. Thank you.
Yeah, nice, awesome. Alexander, and coming over to you, maybe just a brief introduction to the platform and some customers that are using it and how they're using it today.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. So yeah, I'm Alex from Dimension 10. We're a visualization and collaboration platform specialized towards the AEC industry, architecture, engineering, and construction. And some of the best use cases we have is especially in large construction projects during both the design phase but also construction phase, where you have customers that start to see that they identify more and more mistakes earlier on using our software rather than using computer screens to watch 3D models. So every big major construction now is planned using IFC models, 3D models, and viewing them or experiencing them as you do in VR is proving to be very much better to view the models on the 2D screen. So we're starting to see significant savings on larger construction projects because mistakes are identified earlier in the process.
Got it. And can you name check a few customers that are using your platform?
Yes, most of them are large European, Northern European companies like Stadsbygg, AF-gruppen, but also more international ones like AFRI, or AFRI as they're pronounced, and Skanska, amongst others.
Got it. Good stuff. So, David, over to you. Tell us a bit more about the product that you're working on and how it's being used today.
Well, hi, everyone. Yes, so my name's David Sapienza. I actually work at Vive, but I run the internal studios. And the product I'm here to talk about really is Vive Sync, which is a collaboration tool that we made as an internal tool for our own studios. HTC is a global company, and running a studio with different groups all around the world. We were a gaming company, or a gaming studio at first. We started making games, so we built something for ourselves as a tool, and it's been widely used internally. And then we're in this closed beta aspect right now. We're about to open it up to an open beta very soon. So I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah, it's called Vive Sync. It's more of a general purpose meeting application. So that's where we do our stand-ups, share our PowerPoints, go through our weekly slides, review 3D models, practical application things that we've used. But as we're starting to get it out, we see more and more people use it in their own way. But I would say right now we're kind of focused on the smaller general purpose meetings as opposed to some of the specific use cases like oil and gas and some of the other industries here.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny, I'm a regular user of Vive Sync. We're doing a lot of our management meetings, going through slides and presentations and things. So one thing I've noticed myself is actually, I think that the hot topic of today is, the lockdown, the COVID situation where, these tools have been around a long time. I mean, all of you guys have been running your companies for a couple of years now, or these products have been in existence. But it seems somehow that today's environment has accelerated interest. Companies are sending their workers home and they're thinking, hey, how do we adopt these new technologies? So, is this just hype at the moment? Or is this, are you guys actually seeing real demand from customers since we've all gone down into various forms of lockdown? David, let me start with you.
So really the COVID pandemic really has accelerated people's adoption of this technology, and I fully believe the world is not going to go back to the way it was previous to this pandemic. So we have so many people working from home, so many schools shut down as well. They're all being forced to go online, and they are now discovering the limitations with platforms like Zoom and Skype and Teams, where if you want to have a large gathering with maybe any more than 7 or 8 people, it gets very busy very quickly and people overtalk each other. You can't collaborate like that. My own daughter, she's taking classes at the moment on Zoom. And what's happening is that she's just sitting there watching a video. She has no interest. She's not collaborating, or she doesn't feel part of any type of group. So people are now starting to come in a big way into the XR space and using platforms like the Engage platform for these kind of meetings. And even as we're doing right now, just at this roundtable discussion, it's very natural. If we'd done this on Skype, it would be a lot more stilted and not very natural. So we are actually seeing demand. And again, as I was saying, the world has completely changed. I know when, say, 3 months or 6 months from now, when the virus is started, people are starting to get a handle on the virus. We'll already be after being working from home for 6 months. Kids will be after being going to school online. People will start saying to themselves, why do I need to jump on a plane for an hour meeting and then on the way back, like a whole day is wasted? Why can't I do it in virtual reality? It's a lot more intuitive. It's very easy. Obviously, sometimes it is imperative that you have a face-to-face meeting, but this is certainly the next best thing. And I don't think people are going to go back to the way they were, where they were traveling all over the world just for small meetings.
Yeah, and I think it's, from my own experience, even though everybody at Vive, we all have access to VR in the office, we're now taking VR home and we're actually using it as part of our daily workflow. So I would imagine that those habits then, stay with us even once we come out of the lockdown. Claudia, what about yourself? How have the companies that have already been using your platform, are you seeing increased usage because of the lockdown situation? Is there new people and new opportunities that you're seeing?
I would say, it's a mixed response because, with the current situation, a lot of the companies are in crisis mode. The oil price have crashed, and people are, reviewing the areas they focus on. On the other hand, people are seeing remote collaboration as a new way of working. And I completely I agree with David. The world is not going to be the same after this. The issue that we face is that not everybody has a headset at home right now, right? So working from home in virtual reality is only possible for a handful of people who have the VR headset at home. So being able to break that barrier, having in the near future more distribution of headset and VR equipment for the employees, that's what's going to make the difference. But at the moment, not everybody can use that. So what we are doing to go around is implementing innovations in our platform, so that we are able to broadcast from VR into things like Skype or Zoom, so that more people can join into these working sessions.
Yeah, and Alexander, for you, I mean, you're catering to the AEC industry, so architecture, engineering, construction. Now, obviously, a lot of those businesses are, a lot of construction sites have actually closed down. Again, is this a time for them to pause and reflect on new technology? Are you finding they're seeing new use cases for remote working collaboration? What's been the feedback?
Well, I would say it's what you say about sitting down and reflecting on new ways of working. That's definitely happening. But in our case, it's very similar to Claudia as well. Not a lot of them have VR equipment at home. That being said, we are seeing increased demand and more questions coming in because people are now forced to change the way they work. Many of them are forced to go to video communication, but the hurdle to take the next step to VR is going to be smaller going forward. That being said, the customers that has been with us for the longest, they are we see spike in usage because they have remote meetings. And but what's very interesting about what we're doing, especially around the 3D models and the BIM models, and the BIM data, it's the opportunity to experience the model itself. That's step one for them. So our solution, even though it's a collaboration solution, obviously, just being individually in the model, walking around, really gives them a new perspective on things. And that's kind of step one for most of them. So even though a lot of our customers have multiple headsets, they start single user experiences. Then kind of next step is collaboration in the same office that we see. It's coming after a couple of months when people are getting used to this. And then I would say it takes 6 to almost 9 months before they start to collaborate across country or across nations. But once they get being comfortable with the first steps, then they start walking around in projects virtually together. And then you see the real the benefit that we all know that's there, and what is gonna make VR a normal platform to use.
Yeah, and David, I mean, from a kind of product perspective, what have you done in the Sync app, for example, to reduce some of the layers of friction to actually get a VR meeting started?
Yeah, no, that's actually a big part of it is friction, right? There's a lot of hurdles just to have a meeting. An easy button to go to Zoom or Skype or Teams can we overcome that because there is such a bigger feeling when you are in here. So some of the stuff that we've done is obviously we've tried to support all the platforms that we can, from an all-in-one to the high-end. But we actually incorporated in our meeting, when you create a meeting, create a QR code that generates. So I can take this meeting, send it out to all my colleagues. When they come in to log in, all they have to do is hit scan code. They scan it, and it takes you right into the meeting room. Obviously, you can still use a virtual keyboard if you want to put in your room ID and password. But it's just one layer that we're trying to take away, as well as the avatar situation. We do. We created a mobile app as well to just scan your face so you can hop in, or you could actually create your character or your avatar, so it looks like you, dress it how you want, and then just hit one button on your mobile phone, and the next time you come back into Sync, you're just already updated. So just reducing those, barriers will help you just kind of get in and feel that presence. And can I just echo a little bit of what Dave said too before that? This whole COVID thing, if there's any good that came out of it, I think it's really forcing people to adopt a new technology or get out of their comfort zone to try something. VR is one of those technologies that you have to, put on to really feel. Like the fact that I feel like I'm sitting next to Alexander, that's hard to describe until you've actually done it. So I do think that, things are going to change after this, and the more people that try this, they're going to see the benefit over, a 2D screen, call versus, a feeling that I'm with my colleagues.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got, I think, a lot of people that have been invited to this session. It's all about, they might be new to VR. They haven't actually tried some of these tools yet. So when you guys are approaching new customers, how do you kind of guide them in? What's your advice on, how to take the first steps and then maybe kind of expand the usage as Alexander was describing earlier? David, how do you find it for you when you're approaching these enterprises and business customers?
So really, the very first question that we always ask is, have you any VR equipment? And because there's no point in us pitching to people that haven't tried VR before, because you can talk about all this high-level stuff, but if they haven't tried the technology, you're really kind of butting up against a brick wall. And quite often, and it really disheartens me when people say, oh, yes, I've tried virtual reality. It was a cardboard box that I put my phone in, and it made me feel dizzy. And like Google Cardboard, as cool as it is, it actually really hurt this industry, I feel, for people actually to adopt VR technology in a more serious manner. So that's the first thing that we ask. Once we find out that they do have VR equipment, we always meet them inside Engage and we give them a tour of the system and we shake their hand and then we'll show them what the platform can do. Very much this technology is show, not tell. And if you can show people the benefits, straight away it will spark an idea, because the business people that we're talking to, they know their business, they know what they want. We don't know about their business. So we bring them in, and normally after they've had a demonstration of Engage, we'll get a flood of emails over the next few days and say, oh, could we do this? And oh, could we do that? And that's when we kind of put the pieces together and say, yes, we could do this. And this is somebody who's doing something very similar. And then we kind of join the dots. And it's normally a 3 to 6 month process before they'll actually sign up for maybe an enterprise account and then start rolling it out in a small way in their organization. But what's happened over the past 3 or 4 months is that up to, say, Christmas time, somebody would come in, you get a tech enthusiast from the company and say, we want to roll this out on a small trial. Maybe we're going to use it for 10 people in one part of the organization. Now what we're getting is people coming to us and saying, okay, we have 6,000 people working from home. Our creative teams are really struggling. There's 400 of these creatives that need a collaboration tool. How do we roll this out in a quick manner? And the issue that we're getting now is, okay, it's getting the hardware to the people. It's not actually the software solution. Is, okay, how many Vive Focus Pluses can we get to them very, very quickly? Or quite often, you'll hear organizations saying, okay, we've bought maybe 15 Oculus Quests at retail. How do we get 1,000 Quests? And we have to turn around and say, well, no, Oculus will only sell Quests at enterprise prices, but they still don't have any stock. And that's really the barrier that we're finding right now, because everybody is just flooding in at the moment.
Yeah, I think in a way it's been great to see just the demand of, people, looking to get headsets now that they're in this situation. So hopefully as an industry, we can really fulfill that. Claudia, I mean, you've been kind of busy selling into some pretty large customers. I mean, an organization like Shell is, many different business units, many different locations across the world. How has adoption been like there, and what, seeing their journey, what could you recommend to, people in the audience that might be going on the same journey?
Yeah, well, actually, our first point of contact was through LinkedIn. Through social media, I was sort of posting things we were doing. Then we got invited to be part of the incubator for VR in Shell, where we develop our part of our solution. But I will say, two things are key. Once you do the proof of concept, then you do the pilot. Is to get the champions of VR inside the organization, and also the subject matter experts that are going to be using the product, working together. And thirdly, with the point of the hardware, these organizations need that the hardware suppliers like yours, for example, provide an enterprise service to them as well. That is very important. That is integrated within their supply chain and approved within their supply chain. So otherwise, we go through barriers of equipment adoption. But basically, in terms of how I gone about people trained, I go to their offices with my team, or members of my team go to their offices and they do a demo, or we do remote demos. I have run a lot of demos from my home, for example. And there is nothing like when you have the people inside VR and are able to experience what we can do. That's when they really get buying into the products.
Yeah,
into the concept.
And I think one important thing to remember is this isn't just, for the novelty of the technology. This is about delivering business results and ROI, whether that's saving costs or increasing productivity. Alexander, I mean, in your world, how do you measure that? Like, if a customer's saying, hey, why do I need to spend X on your product? How do you measure that ROI to them? And have you got any interesting data points you can share?
Yeah, it's so tough to prove. So we're working very hard on that. But we actually have some fantastic data being released quite soon. There's one of our customers who did visual design and construction course with Stanford University. It's quite popular in the AEC industry. And there he did, he noted down all his findings that they have found using the Dimension 10 software reviewing models. The same models they were reviewing on the 2D screen. And it's safe to say that the savings per meeting is tens of thousands of dollars. It's a huge project. But they just, when you walk in a building or a construction project or infrastructure project that this is, you just see and experience what would not work in reality. And as they say, okay, we saw this straight away. We might have caught it before we started building it, but we don't know. We did not catch it used with a normal design review tool on a TV screen. So those are the kinds of evidences we're getting. But to follow up on what Claudia says as well, it's so important to prove the ROI and to help them find the ROI as well. So one of our biggest successes over the last year is having a customer success team that is really following up the customer. Not only we do the sales in the beginning, we did sales and then, hey, you're so lucky you get access to our fantastic software. And then almost forgot about the customer. Now, for the last couple of years, we've been following them up a lot, and also not only with the software, but training them in the software, but also doing the hard work on the hardware part as well, because that's just in the nature of what we do. We sell software on a brand new hardware device. We just have to help them with that as well. So just really following them up is my answer.
Yeah. Can I add point? Can I add point on the return on investment?
Yeah.
So what we do is, we use 3D models of the landscape captured with drones to bring the field to the office. So a normal field trip, of geologists and engineers, costs a lot of money to go, for example, to see some analogs to the subsurface. It can cost in several thousands of dollars, plus the time of people away from the office, plus instructor fees, et cetera, plus all the planning that you have to do in terms of safety, HSC, risk assessments, etc. So now, we are delivering cost savings of nearly up to cost reductions up to nearly 60% on this.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's great. Yeah, it's fantastic numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, David, moving on to away from ROI, just thinking about the future now. So, we're here today. We're all in various different headsets and across different different types of hardware. as a Vive employee, like, what do you see coming down the pipe? What are the product innovations that can move all of this forward? Is it things like eye tracking and lip tracking? Is it, will we all be wearing lighter headsets that make it easier to jump in and out? Like, what are you seeing from your position?
Well, you know that I'm not allowed to talk about future hardware. I don't know. I can't talk about that. No, but I think it's a good question, though. I think, yes, like, touching on what you said before about friction, there are issues that we're aware of right now. Like, you still need a high-end PC. There's, updates, drivers. People don't really want to deal with that. I think the all-in-one is such an amazing platform where people can just put it on. A lot of my colleagues just have it on their desk, and we can have a meeting. They just pop it on, and they're right there. So I think as the technology gets lighter, so people can wear it longer and more affordable, where they don't need a full PC, I think that's going to be a big barrier that is going to allow more adoption. But things like eye tracking, or even the lip tracker that Vive has, and I don't know if some of them, like we use it on ours, but when you do talk and you see your colleague there and his mouth is being tracked and his eyes are being tracked, there's a different connection. Obviously, you can get some body language with the hands, but when you can get the full body and the face, I think that's really going to help people connect. And then that's an ROI that's hard to quantify, but when you have that meeting, it's going to be much more memorable, and people are going to feel it and understand it, easily.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think hand and eye tracking are definitely kind of interesting topics. If anyone's interested in those, actually, we had recently a kind of Vive webinar series where we talked through some of the technical details of that. So go and search for that afterwards. But David, switching tack a little bit. I mean, we're talking about future of work, but actually, big part of people's work is meeting people, it's networking at events, it's coming to sessions like this and both learning, but making interesting introductions. Now, people have been doing events in Engage for years. I mean, I remember coming to one very early on, with Chris Long and Chris Mazin and people like that. How have you seen that evolve? Because it seemed like more of a kind of a novelty 2 years ago. Now this has become, mainstream. I'm going to 2 or 3 VR events, every couple of weeks, it seems. So how do you see that developing, and how is Engage supporting that?
Yeah, so in the early days, actually, we had very early prototype builds, like you get the tech enthusiasts and you meet the same people over and over again, and everybody is raving about the technology, raving about the platform, and oh wow, isn't this so cool? And it got kind of a little bit jaded. But what's happened over the past 6 months, again, because of the coronavirus, is we're seeing so many new people come to the platform that aren't tech enthusiasts, but they need a solution. And they're coming in asking very interesting questions and actually bringing us into development realms that we may not have done in the past, because we're tech enthusiasts ourselves, and they're using the platform in very different ways. Only last week there was a medical conference inside Engage. We had the Educators in VR conference as well. And as you're walking around inside the virtual platform, which is fantastic, is that you can have your own little private conversations in the corner. The kind of hallway conversations that you can't do on video-based platforms is very, very natural. And it's those hallway conversations is where a lot of big deals happen, where you might get on with somebody and you don't realize that it's the actual CTO for, say, Qualcomm, and you're talking to them, and then they spark up a conversation and you meet them offline. So really it has grown quite a lot over the past couple of months.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny, actually, where, coming in for the event today, I actually bumped into somebody that I haven't seen. He's based in South Africa, and we were having a chat about what's happening there, and now we've got, follow-ups on that. So it is interesting, sometimes just the serendipity of meeting people. You can't do that if you're stuck at home.
It is, yeah. And one of the core things that I would say to VR companies that are starting now, if you try go and sell someone a solution, it's not going to work. Really what you're doing is you're providing that potential customer with education first, educating them on what the technology can do, what your solution can do, but don't try force sell them, because it's going to be a long haul. And we're very mindful of the business developers that we have, and HTC do it very fantastically well, where you have very personable people who are going out and talking about the brand and talking about the products that you have, but you don't have very salesy people going out there and trying to force a solution down their throats.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, well, I think we're going to wrap up and move into some Q&As, and then after this, you know, to repeat what we were saying, we're going to try and get into some networking and meet some people across the different rooms here. But maybe we could just wrap up with a quick, you know, for you guys, you know, where should we go and find you? How can we learn more about the product? Should we be following you on Twitter? Maybe just give yourselves a quick plug, and then we'll break into the questions.
Okay, so if you want to check out Engage, there's a free version you can download. Just visit engagevr.io. And if you want to actually contact the company itself, just type in Education VR and you'll find us at the very top of most of the search engines.
Great, thank you, Claudia.
Thank you. So my Twitter account is at Ruiz, RUIZ_UK, and our webpage is www.immerseUK.com. You can find us there, and also you can follow me on LinkedIn as well. Thank you.
For us as well, please visit us at www.dimension10.com. And there's a lot of information there about what we're doing, our customers, a lot of use cases as well. And obviously contact information and so on. So please get in touch if you are interested in learning more about what we're doing.
Great. And David, if people want to find out about Vive Sync.
Yeah, so we're it's hard for me because we're still technically in a closed beta, but we haven't announced anything. But very shortly, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to announce everything. So just stay tuned. We're going to be moving to an open beta very soon, and then everyone will be able to try it from that point on.
All right, excellent. Well, I want to thank all of my panelists for joining us today. This is my first time moderating a virtual panel. Some of your time, you guys, the first time you've actually contributed. So thanks for your time here. And thanks for you guys for turning up. So a big round of applause for everybody.